What if you could just close your eyes and be somewhere else? Poof. Be someplace where your phone doesn't work and the comment section can't reach you. Kate and I needed something like this, and we needed it bad. Life had gotten the better of us, and before we knew it, it was June, and our chance to see the Owyhees with green grass was quickly fading. Then Chris and Elsje reminded us we had a secret spot out there, and even though we had zero time for adventure, if we didn't do it now, we'd miss it until next year. So we decided to close our eyes and go poof. We were rushed to cram this trip into a Friday night as everyone had commitments on Saturday, so we pushed pace to hit dirt as fast as possible. Our previous attempt at this particular route had been thwarted by mud, but we were pretty certain today things would be dry. We haven't done it in years because we keep getting mudded out.
It's true.
It is. No mud this time though. 90 degrees. It is not muddy.
It's nice and dry. It's gonna be beautiful. It's hot.
You're beautiful and hot.
That's
right, I said it. I feel like
don't
we're in a kiln right now.
I know. It is like this is like one of the hottest days we've had this year so far, which is crazy.
Yeah, my temp says 93. What's yours say?
Yeah, it's about the same.
We finished airing down, grabbed the kids and shoved them in the car, then hit the trail as fast as we could because we had a long way to go, some tricky terrain to deal with, and a very short time frame. This trail starts with a quick climb over the side of the foothills. While it's an easy drive and the trail was in great shape, we knew there was a steep and off-camber drop coming up, which Kate would be driving. So for now, we just enjoyed the views of the valley below while we worked our way through the easiest parts of the trail. In what seemed like no time at all, we landed on the most technical part of this trail, which Kate would be driving. These types of drop-offs never look as scary on camera, and while there's not a ton of real danger driving this in a Jeep, it's steep enough that the kids wanted out of the car, and where a driving mistake can cost you. It's actually so steep that it's easy to fall just walking it, as I did with the camera right here. The only ones totally comfortable with the terrain were the locals. This guy was just trying to figure out what the big deal was. Kate did fantastic driving through that initial drop and was starting to feel much more comfortable behind the wheel, and even got to make her first water crossing, which didn't go so well for me. Just shot a water crossing, and I gotta get my flip-flops through here. This is not working. You've probably heard me say that I love all rigs, but let me be clear here. I really love my Jeep. Here's why. It's so capable. With a good suspension, great tires, front and rear lockers, excellent approach, breakover, and departure angles, it makes terrain that might be tricky for other rigs a cakewalk in the Jeep. And I was really excited that Kate was getting to drive some of the rougher parts of the trail before things opened up and got easy again. We had now reached the part of the trail that I call the secret plains of the Owyhees. This part of the trail is open and beautiful. There aren't the massive rock formations like other parts of the area. Instead, you see rolling hills of grass that tuck you in and free your mind. I started letting go of the stress and anxiety of weeks leading up to this trip and just let the trail take me wherever I was meant to be in the moment. This terrain would soon be scorched by the sun, and any pinprick of green would be colored over by golden brown. Seeing it just before it made this change made me feel like I was seeing something fleeting, something special, something worth the drive, even though the best was still yet to come. These old country roads are like little whispers that you tell your friends about. You want to share them, but you don't want to ruin them. Because when you're out here and you have that road all to yourself for miles and miles, and you know in your heart that that one spot you pin dropped is going to be wide open for you, you can't help but feel like one of the lucky few who knows a secret. And our secret was a place we'd seen 2 years ago when a flock of sheep was grazing in this area. We drove down a spur road and found the shepherd's camp right on this little saddle. We marked it and promised ourselves one day we'd come back here, to the shepherd's perch. And today was that day. From this little saddle, the green of the Owyhees was on full display. Endless rolling hills covered in grass blowing in the wind, the crags and cracks of canyons spurting up as shadows of mountains in the distance, all made for a magical setting. So far, the Owyhees were giving us exactly what we were looking for. So we set up camp and started making a special dinner for the girls who'd both had pretty tough weeks.
Okay, so this is kind of a team effort. So Will and I thought that our wives both needed to be spoiled because, you know, they put up with us. So we wanted to do something really special as far as dinner. So Will brought the turf, which are these delicious top sirloins. I did the surf, which is shrimp with garlic butter. And then we have some roasted asparagus and green onions. And then a Caesar salad on the side. And then, of course, we brought some of the best Idaho wine that we could find. So, I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
How is it?
So good. Shrimp and steak and asparagus. I don't know, these are like my favorites. Cooked over the fire, so good.
Kate, how is the steak?
It is amazing. And I love that it was cooked like on top of the fire. We usually don't do that. So this was excellent. And the shrimp and the asparagus are just so good. I think the garlic butter that Chris brought is like what made the whole deal. Ties it all together. So good. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Welcome.
You're everybody's favorite.
Always.
When dinner was over, we made a point to walk out and watch the sunset, to feel the air change and the breeze pick up as the sun left the sky, and to remember that being alive and together is the greatest gift we could ask for in this life. The next morning brought a sense of change. That foreboding feeling of being rushed was back, as we all had commitments we had to leave early to attend. The temps had dropped, the clouds were moving in, and we started getting rained on. After making a quick cup of coffee to fuel the drive out, Chris noticed his Jeep wouldn't start. The battery was totally drained. Now, to be fair, Chris had been talking about getting a new battery for some time, so this wasn't a huge surprise. But luckily, he was prepared with a jumper pack, which got Ripley started up on the first try.
If this didn't work, we had your vehicle and you have a jump pack. Worst case scenario, we go into town and get a new battery.
think Ripley just had a little bit of a hangover from last night.
Yeah, but the thing is that is kind of confusing me is that the fridge is supposed to have a cutoff, so it's not supposed to run your battery down. Yeah, I'll take a look at the battery. It might just be time for a new battery before the trip.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
not a bad idea.
No.
With everything up and running, we quickly packed up camp and started making our way towards Sucker Creek Canyon, which in my mind is the crown jewel of the Owyhees. We headed back down our little spur road and made our way to the main trail. We were feeling rushed to get back home, but also grateful for making this trip happen, and grateful that the drive out was just as beautiful as anything we'd seen so far. As we approached Sucker Creek Canyon, the grass was a little greener, the dirt was a little softer, and the 16-million-year-old rhyolite rock formations started creeping out of the earth to show themselves to us. We kept chasing Chris and Elsje in front of us, but had the very rare treat of there being no dust to block our view. Being around these green grasses and these old rocks is enough to make you feel small, young, and insignificant. The grass cycles through every year, and the rocks will be here long after we're gone. We're just a blip on the timeline of history of the Earth. In some ways, it feels like we're just visitors here. But the truth is, it's ours, at least for the moment. And those moments we spend trying to find ways in which to remember that we're from this Earth and will eventually go back to it are both scary to think about and invigorating to experience. Because we only have a little time here. So we have to make the most of those moments that we have. And for us, it's the little secret moments like this that remind us we're human, remind us to live in the moment, and remind us that if we take care of this earth, these rocks will be here whenever we need to remember this again. Look like this is good for your soul.
What do you mean it looked like?
Look, because you're being recorded.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we're hitting the line.
Look like this is good for your soul. Act like you just smelled some really bad cow poop. Act like you have really bad IBS.